Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Dom and Cipher get it on in front of Letty. So, where did we leave our guys and girls at the end of the last film? Paul Walker died before they finished filming Furious 7. But still, at the end of the movie, thanks to CGI and his brothers, Caleb and Cody, getting involved, his character, Brian, makes an appearance, decides to retire, and rides off into the sunset. By that time, Letty's got her memory back and Dom has, more or less, come back from the dead to utter a funny line or two. Everything is totally cool with the family and Dom and Letty are all loved up. Cut to the new film and guess what? It seems that Dom has defected and gone over to the evil villain Cipher, played by the deliciously evil Charlize Theron, with weird-looking hair. Heck, it seems as if he is trying to kill Letty. Hey, Charlize and Vin Diesel get hot and heavy one time or two. Even better, Letty's watching. Well, The Rock and Van may not be best buds, but we hear Charlize and Van are very close. 13. The Rock calls Vin Diesel a candy A. The filmmakers have tried to play it down. But let's face it, Van Diesel, Dom, and Wayne "The Rock" Johnson, Hobbs, are two way big guys with way big egos. They reportedly fell out big time during the filming of The Fate of the Furious. "I can bench press more than you can," says The Rock. Or words to that effect. Reportedly, Johnson called Vinny Boy candy A. "We can't see it ourselves, but there it is." So, everybody did everything they could to keep those two apart while filming. Like that fight would be epic to watch. It helped that Dom appears to have gone over to the bad guy's side, meaning he and Hobbs didn't have a lot of interaction in this film anyway. And don't expect to see happy snaps of the two together on the film's publicity tour. They are being kept apart for that bit, too. 12. 7 films and $514 million wreckage. Okay, the franchise has grossed around $4 billion worldwide, leaving in its wake a veritable graveyard of cars, trucks, trains, and even buildings. You name it. In fact, that means that about 12% of the profits went into stuff that got destroyed. But with the wrecked cars, there was a special problem. They had to totally smash up merely damaged cars, so that keen and eager fans didn't troll up and make away with the wrecks with a view to making them roadworthy again. The film insurance guys were freaking over that prospect. So, literally, there are car graveyards. According to the Wall Street Journal, in Furious 7 alone, some 230 cars, including expensive Mercedes, were wrecked and then smashed up into unrecognizable heaps of metal. Do you know that the stunt drivers in the films build the stunt cars to be wrecked, saving the hero cars to live another day? 11. Speaking of cars, the best car stunt so far. Admit it, cinema beland raved, the minute the safe chase started, your jaw hit the floor and you were hooked. Fast 5 combines Ocean's 11 thieving and Mission Impossible reckless stunt driving. The boys, Dom and Brian, crash, literally, into a bank in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and steal an entire bank vault. A freaking bank vault is pulled through the streets, reaching speeds of 50 miles an hour. Hey, it had $100 million in it. It was totally worth the effort. Some physicists at Harvard did the calculations and said it was impossible. Of course, it's freaking impossible. That's the whole point, isn't it? We see the impossible happen again and again and again in the Fast and Furious movies. That's why we go. Like them. Who gives a toss about the acting? 10. Flipping best Easter egg so far. In 2015's Furious 7, Luke Hobbs, played by The Rock, lands in hospital with a cast on his arm, which by the way, he causes to crumble when he flexes those biceps. Anyway, he's watching TV and up comes a clip of a college football game. Reportedly, it was the November 1991 game between the Miami Hurricanes and the Florida State Seminoles. And there's number 94, a defensive tackle by the name of D. Johnson. Yep, it was The Rock way back when he was crushing bones on the football field. Wait until you see what The Rock is bench pressing in The Fate of the Furious 9. Of snow and ice and submarines, F8 gets insane. This bit is in the official trailer, so it's not really a spoiler. Okay, they were filming in icy Iceland. Surprise, surprise. It's a chase scene and Dom and his crew are against The Rock, Letty, and the rest. Then all of a sudden, what breaks through the ice is nothing but a giant submarine. Like the biggest submarine we've ever seen. It creates a tidal wave of ice and snow that the guys are doing their best to get the heck away from. Hobbs takes one look at the thing and delivers one of the funniest lines in this film, "We're going to need a bigger truck." Talk about an understatement. A fleet of bigger trucks is more like it. 8. How the death of Paul Walker nearly killed off Furious 7. In November of 2013, Paul Walker was back in California on a Thanksgiving break, having flown in from filming in Atlanta. On November 30th, he appeared happy and relaxed at a fundraising event before waving goodbye and climbing into his friend Roger Roda's Porsche. Minutes later, the car crashed, probably at a high speed. Rodas was killed instantly. Walker probably lived long enough to know what was happening. The filmmakers seriously considered scupper the whole project, as they were only about halfway through filming when Walker died. But in the end, his look-alike actor brothers and a fair amount of CGI saved the day and the film ended with the Walker character Brian retiring. The original ending? The boys were hinting at more outrageous capers to come. 7. The day movies changed, opening scene of Fast and Furious. In 2001, no one saw what was coming with the Fast and the Furious. The first film didn't have a huge budget or big stars. But from the opening scene, when an impossibly young Paul Walker revs up his day-glow green 1995 Mitsubishi Eclipse and hits the track, we enter a different world of speed and illegal street races and adrenaline-fueled highs. The 2-liter, 16-valve, 4-cylinder engine was souped up big time and capable of 435 horsepower. Whoa! Still, Brian loses his first race against Dom and has to forfeit his car to the winner. While the stunt car version of the Eclipse was totaled in the film, the real deal was reportedly snapped up by a fan for $15,000. 6. The Rock bench presses what? As Vox commented, the unspoken truth of the Fast and Furious franchise is that it's really an undercover superhero film. According to the site, The Fate of the Furious goes full superhero, and leans into the absolute ridiculousness of its characters. So The Rock, playing Luke Hobbs, becomes a kind of spoofed-out superhero, who ends up, wait for it, ripping a concrete bench from its moorings and then doing a bicep curl with it. Remember when he broke off an arm cast by flexing his muscles in Furious 7? The Luke Hobbs in the 8th film makes that guy look like a wimp. So, we have gone from illegal street races, through impossible heist sequences and now enter into superhero La La Land. We're loving it. And you know what else we love? The Rock's 20-inch biceps. That's getting onto 2 feet of biceps. 5. The hottest bromance ever. Now that Paul Walker's Brian has shuffled off and Dom has been recruited by Cipher, reports are that The Rock's Luke Hobbs character and Jason Statham's Deckard Shaw character are all bro-loved up. According to Vox, they have more chemistry on screen, and off, as well, than Dom and his lover, wife Letty. Hobbs is calling himself daddy and cracking heads, while Shaw is hurling insults at such a rapid rate that you think the two are going to collide. You may remember that Shaw is a nutcase special forces assassin that Dom banged up in the last movie. So, they don't start off the new film as the best of friends. 4. Of bad acting, poor scripts, flying cars and skiing bank vaults. Let's face it. The critics have a great time panning the franchise. They say the acting is bad and the scripts and plots are totally non-existent. So? Tell us something we don't know, guys. That's the whole point. The thrilling combination of witty one-liners, guns blasting, things blowing up, and cars doing impossible stunts are precisely why fans keep coming back for more. Throw in an occasional hot love scene, and what's not to love? Where else are you going to find a car flying through the air to land on a yacht, or cars parachuting from planes, or bank vaults skiing through Rio? There's something about watching car crashes and train wrecks and the like that ''s thought well, fun and escapist. You can't argue with this. Fast and Furious is the most successful movie franchise like ever. 3. Getting steamy, Vin Diesel and Charlize Theron. For much of the movie, Charlize Theron's Cipher is sitting at a bank of computers, pushing buttons and making things like submarines break through the ice. On the other side, wisecracking Law and Order type Frank Petty, gloriously played by Kurt Russell, is recruiting for the good guys and coming out with witty put-downs and one-liners. Hobbs is talking about Daddy going to work while he cracks heads. Dom is smoldering and angry. Then, finally there is the lip-lock scene between Cipher, with those weird dreadlock plates, and Dom. Where? Right in front of Letty. Apparently, everyone had a good time that day. Letty is the stick in the mud, telling him he has betrayed his family. 2. WTF? They may bring Paul Walker's character back. According to the dead actors' brothers, Caleb and Cody, who were stand-ins for their brother in Furious 7, the filmmakers are considering doing a similar resurrection in a future installment of the franchise, using both Walker's two brothers in a spot of CGI to bring the Brian character back to life. Sounds a little, or a lot, creepy to us. After Furious 7, there was talk, mostly by the hopeful brothers, of the dead actor having a part in Fast 8. Or the fate of the Furious or whatever, with a little help from his hoping to work siblings and a bit of computer magic. But alas, it was not to be. It would be hard to see how on earth they could make the return of Brian work. Anyway, the franchise has moved on from where it was in 2015. 1. What next? Well, we're getting into superhero territory already. So, no telling what The Rock's Luke Hobbs will get up to in future installments. Flying through the air, maybe? Doubtful. The Rock is angling big time for a spin-off with his Hobbs being, of course, the lead. Take that, Vinny boy. Meanwhile, Diesel is telling Variety that potential spin-offs for the series were in the early stages of development. Meaning, don't hold your breath, Rock. But for certain? Look for the 9th and 10th films to come out between April of 2019 and April of 2021. By that time, The Rock will be pushing 50. Meanwhile, Caleb and Cody Walker live in hopes that they get to play their dead brother again.
Subscribe for more.